This is another video about a DIY, cheap construction super material that you can use to make almost anything. I filmed it over the course of an entire year. So, as it was last time, I want to systematize the past construction season. I think it deserves it again. For the regular viewers of the Yasha Koshak Songs channel, who closely follow all the projects and don't miss anything, this video will also be interesting. Because I'll tell you how our joke about the fact that the oligarchs are shocked by this innovative material finally went sour. The oligarchs are shocked and have begun actively opposing us, amateur builders of extremely affordable construction. And we're not in the mood for jokes anymore. I'll talk about this a bit later. The use of this material allows you to quickly and easily solve many construction and agricultural tasks. And the range of these continues to expand. When making new tall, warm garden beds, we achieved almost twofold savings in material. That's why they're not just cheap now, they're ultra cheap. I helped my friend Dimitri when he decided to take up classic log hive beekeeping. We really struggled while making the log hives using traditional methods, but everything changed after we started using the super material. I also used the super material to make a new garden path. This time, the skeptics' doubts about its lack of durability were completely dispelled. Its simple installation has been further simplified. Now you don't even need to remove the turf. I made a new version of super insulated walls for use in frame house construction. Similar ones were used in the House for $1,000 project. This time the walls turned out very even and don't require labor-intensive and costly leveling finishes. Meanwhile, their cost has barely risen. Another version of a tall, warm bed has been made, this time in a round shape. Due to the rigidity of cylindrical structures, material savings and ease of assembly have increased even more. A new version of ultra-durable roofing was made from this improved super material for my ultra-low-budget project, House for $1,000. It is non-flammable and hopefully very durable. All this clearly proves that by using the super material, you can move forward even in these very difficult times. The simple components are sold in any hardware store. You can bring them in an ordinary car or even on a gardener's cart. This is our chance as gardeners, vegetable growers, residents of villages, and the urban private sector to surpass the so-called golden billion in every way. So let's go over everything step by step. Hello everyone. The new construction season started with experience sharing. At the end of February, my friend Confronting and I went to the Skov region to visit our friend Dennis and see how his house had survived the winter. The winter in these parts was snowy. It seemed to us that Dennis looked frightened. The layer of packed snow was quite thick. It turned out that our friend was puzzled because of the unexpected interest in his recently created YouTube channel, where he covers the construction of this experimental frameless, compact house made from a new, innovative material. The comments showed enthusiastic support, but also expressed concerns about the house's ability to withstand strong winds and the roof's capacity to bear the typical snow load in the central region. The house stood steadfast enduring multiple hurricanes. Dennis shared some important observations.
Now, if you pay attention to the putty,
the last days of February suggested that there would be no more snow this year than there already was. That means the building had also honorably withstood the test of snow load. We also inspected the first building made from this material. It was with this building that Dennis first became acquainted with construction innovations. The walls of the new house cost his friend many times less than the walls of the main house, which was built using the traditional technology. I was also really eager to make something new out of this miracle material, and I decided to redo the ultra-cheap, ultra-light, but at the same time warm by design roof in the House for $1,000 project. The first version of the roof was made very recklessly. It was made from sheets of extruded polystyrene glued together, which I simply painted with several layers of facade paint to protect it from the sun's ultraviolet rays. Well, everything is very simple. A downside is that occasionally birds peck at the roof's ridge. I bought everything I needed and even in the frosty February got to work in a heated garage doubling as my workshop. This doesn't mean an extruded polystyrene roof needs replacing every 4 or 5 years. Its first version allowed me to gather a lot of valuable experimental information. So this time, I aim for a roof that is intended to last more than 50 years. This is the minimum service life of Penaplex as stated by the manufacturer. When the new roofing blanks were ready, my wife asked me to also make a couple of tall, warm garden beds out of the Supermaterial. The first garden bed with its warm sides was extremely productive over 3 seasons. That's incorrect, and this is the correct way. Sometimes I make a mistake and apply the glue on the wrong side. My body has adapted to working after winter's idleness, so I decided to promptly create some new garden beds. Instead of the cheap Chinese one, I used our Belarusian fiberglass mesh, which is stronger. The sides of the garden beds are under a lot of stress. Despite the skeptics' predictions that ants and even mice would settle in the Penaplex, I can say that in all the years I've worked with this material, I've never noticed anything like that. I believe all the criticism comes from ignorance and lack of education among some commentators. A friend sent me a video in which some blogger, for some unclear reason, apparently hates extruded polystyrene foam and just slapped together a makeshift test sample. Without even waiting for it to set properly, he started smashing it with a gas trimmer at full speed and yelling that he had debunked some kind of myth. This guy didn't even bother to apply a layer of decorative finish, which also gives the material a lot of strength to withstand such impacts. That video didn't cause any kind of stir, because besides me and a few friends, only a handful of people actually watched it. Even back then, I suspected that the video might have been commissioned by someone, but I was clueless as to where exactly it originated from. The sides in the first row are buried nearly halfway into the ground, which makes them stand securely. In the new beds, I used a more classic approach with supporting stakes. This allowed me to cut the consumption of the Supermaterial in half. From the same amount of material, I ended up with not 1, but 2 beds. I didn't bother at all about the appearance with the first bed. I simply marked it to look like natural stone and covered it with just 1 coat of tinted antiseptic varnish over the plaster. It also looks quite good. Later, a Mediterranean style developed for the small architectural forms in our yards, so I try to stick to it. And if you're not planning to test the beds for strength with all your might, and your main priority is yield while appearance comes second, then you don't have to do any finishing at all. But I have to admit, doing this kind of finishing work is very calming for the nerves, especially in our stressful times. As blanks for stakes and other fastening elements for the sides, I used standard materials that are sold in any hardware store. But such beds, even with insulated sides, won't be completely warm without the proper filling of coarse and fine organic matter. Organic matter releases heat during decomposition, and the insulated sides help retain that heat. From the very first days, the new beds started actively contributing to a high yield. If you mulch them with cut grass, you need to water them very, very rarely because the mulch prevents moisture from evaporating. Penaplex is completely waterproof, so there is no moisture loss through the sides either. Trimming the edges of the beds with a trimmer at reasonable speeds also causes no problems. I have a powerful battery-powered one. Overdoing it can make wood chips fly off the sides. At the end of May, I visited my friend Confronting. You can only envy the arsenal of tools he has now. 2 years ago, he built the walls of an extension to the old village house using the Supermaterial, and the extension turned out to be bigger than the house itself. Confronting is also a blogger, so he posted a video about building these walls on his YouTube channel. He titled the video, "First Floor Walls Made of Pinaplex Using Frameless Technology." In the video, he called himself a pioneer. At the time, I didn't take him that seriously, as the Japanese were the true pioneers. The video blew up the internet. Confronting didn't expect that building the walls would be so simple and take so little time. He didn't have a gold reserve to quickly continue the construction, so it turned into a long-term project. And a long-term project is the main enemy of all self-builders. Confronting had grand plans. He was planning to dismantle the roof of the old house and use super building materials to erect the walls of the second floor. He planned to do this over both the old house and the extension. All the while, as he was saving up materials and funds for further construction, under the video, along with kind and supportive comments, there were also quite a few not-so-friendly ones. They wrote that such walls would be blown down by the first strong wind, that you wouldn't even need doors with them. You could just walk right through, and other similar nasty comments. My friend started to hesitate since he didn't have a strong inner core based on an intuitive sense of structural strength, which I constantly rely on. He attempted to find a solution that excluded reinforcing the back wall with a regular frame while maintaining the innovation, fearing accusations of dishonesty otherwise. That's how the corset technology for strengthening the walls of the first floor was born.
Thanks to this corset technology, we are now winning.
In essence, it's boards on the exterior and interior, glued with foam and secured together through the wall using self-tapping screws. A corset can be considered a type of frame, but such walls are definitely free of thermal bridges. For the second floor, my friend decided to use frame technology, but instead of classic mineral wool as insulation, he used the same extruded polystyrene foam. Confronting began to evolve from a DIY builder into the foreman of his own construction site. My friend started spending more time on overall organization and on planning and design activities. At the beginning of summer, my friend Dimitri took up beekeeping, using the ancient log hive method instead of the classic approach with regular hives. Dimitri likes everything proper and environmentally clean. I volunteered to help my friend. In his opinion, proper bees should live in proper log-like hives. That's when they will produce healthy honey. Even using modern motorized tools, we really struggled with making a classic log hive. Even just watching our hard work made the dog tired. I always have a pack of Pinaplex Comfort in stock. I decided to try to simplify everything by using the super construction material, even for making modern, technologically advanced log hives. To bend Pinaplex, as usual, I temporarily attach a strong fiberglass mesh. Since I need to bend the sheets with a record small radius, I quickly made a simple contraption. I called it the Pinaplex Bender. Everything works out again. At the joint, I attached an extra piece of fiberglass mesh. To achieve a perfectly cylindrical shape, I installed temporary round plugs on both sides. The fiberglass mesh has done its job, so it can be removed and used to bend the next sheet. And then everything goes as usual. The reinforcing layers are applied and leveled. My friend Dimitri really loves everything wooden, so I'm decorating the log hive with the cheapest tile adhesive. This time, not in the Mediterranean style of natural stone, but imitating wood in the style of lumber. I reinforced the inside with multiple layers and coated the inner surfaces with pure clay for added protection. In the East, clay beehives have been used since ancient times, which means that bees like this material just as much as wood. And the yeast is a delicate matter. Almost all the other parts of the hive I also make from the Supermaterial. I couldn't resist and added just a little bit of Mediterranean style to the base of the hive as well. Unlike the wooden one, my hive turned out to be significantly lighter and at the same time strong, and most importantly, warm. With a thickness of only 3 centimeters, the thermal properties of Pinaplex are the same as those of dry wood, 17 centimeters thick. I can only imagine how big real wooden hives would have to be with walls that thick and the same useful volume. To move them, you'd probably have to call in a crane. A hive made from the Supermaterial is warm. The bees will be warm in it during the frosty winter and cool during the hot summer. My friend Dimitri is pleased and promised to thoroughly test everything. In the middle of summer, I chose to add another garden path. You can never have too many. And of course, for its construction, just like for the previous path, I'm using the super construction material. Everything is as usual, a reinforcing layer on one side. I wait for it to set. A reinforcing layer on the other side. The construction of our main house is being carried out using more traditional building technologies. Maybe that's why it never seems to get finished, because of their high-cost labor intensity and the constant lack of funds. It's been almost 2 decades since it began, but there are still quite a few unfinished parts, and some things already need to be redone. That's how the used tiles appeared, which no one had the guts to throw away. Our previous homemade garden path was criticized for its seemingly fragile surface, even though it serves perfectly well. How do you like that, Elon Musk? I reinforced the edges with fiberglass mesh strips, and the road panels are ready. Now you can even lay them between garden beds. I immediately tried them out there. You could even create a patio area in the garden next to the other structures made from the Supermaterial. Or, if you want, make a sunbathing area like real oligarchs have. And all of this costs next to nothing. The innovative path needed an innovative, ultra-simple installation, and it looks like I came up with one. Now you don't even need to remove the sod. The result was a path with a floating effect. Soil is poured and compacted inside the metal edging, and it will bear the entire load. Pinaplex has been widely used in constructing roads, paths, playgrounds, and blind areas. It greatly reduces soil freezing, prevents moisture penetration, and eliminates frost heaving. That's why everything should be stable. Trimming the new floating path with a trimmer is a real pleasure. The path leads to where I dream of building a full-size swimming pool made from the Supermaterial. Then I had a chance to visit St. Petersburg, near which the construction of a frame house with an innovative, combined, and the warmest insulation system in the world was underway. The walls were insulated with 15 centimeters of mineral wool and 5 sets of Pinaplex comfort, both on the exterior and interior. The spacing is perfect. Each one is placed 60 centimeters apart. I learned a lot of new things and even took part in developing this advanced technology myself. And 3 layers of Pinaplex foundation were laid on the floor. Here we cut the edge, here we cut as well, and we lay the second layer. Pinaplex foundation is capable of supporting even very heavy concrete screeds. And the same thing is done on a pitched roof, as you can see. That's an interesting project. With a can of Lidsky Kvass, I take vicarious pleasure in people using the Supermaterial for small buildings. The number of new videos about this is constantly growing. But suddenly, together with my friends Konstantin and Dennis, I discovered that one after another, videos are appearing on the channels of major construction companies, the purpose of which is to discredit our self-built creativity. And we immediately realized where this was coming from. Compared to us humble self-builders, the gentlemen from these construction companies are real oligarchs. I'm well acquainted with people like that. They go crazy over anyone who didn't hire them but built something on their own. Even the smallest thing, like an outdoor toilet or a shower, in their words that our hands should be torn off, you could sense more serious intentions. I advised my friend Konstantin to urgently install a fire alarm. When the oligarchs are angry, you need to keep your ear to the ground. I started thinking about my own safety, considering different options and conducting experiments. For example, hiring a private security company is both inconvenient and somehow not our way, not in line with the working Christian spirit. Hello, your documents, please. Who are you visiting? Go ahead. When the initial fright passed, Konstantin and I remembered that we live in the calmest and quietest country in the world, our native Belarus. And the 90s ended for us in the 90s. That's why they can bite me. Then I decided to improve the production of walls made from the Supermaterial for frame houses. I already used similar ones in the House for $1,000 project. Due to the thickness of the reinforcing layers being just a few millimeters, they turn out flat enough for applying finishing coatings, such as decorative stone or brick, but not flat enough for wallpaper or painting. I have long believed that the gravity of our planet is a very powerful force that can be extremely useful in construction. But so far, we haven't learned how to control its direction. But unlike brick, block, concrete, and many other types of walls, walls made from Supermaterial can easily be temporarily placed in the desired plane, that is, horizontally. I attached temporary edges around the perimeter and poured in self-leveling flooring. Guys, I don't have any plastering or painting skills at all, but the surface turns out perfectly even right away, both visually and to the touch. And now the lightweight wall is as strong as the floor. I'm lifting it up and priming it. I'm painting the first coat. I'm painting the second coat and making sure the surface is immediately suitable for painting. And this is the highest level of finishing skill, no matter how hard I tried. The ceilings in our main house didn't turn out this even. The side of the wall looks solid. Autumn has come. I've got these 1.5-meter rings lying around. I made them from the same Supermaterial. I made the rings for the first version of the insulated deep biological treatment septic tank, but then I came up with a second, more advanced version. The item has been tested for 2 years and is currently used as an insulated mini pool-like tub. So, not wanting the materials to go to waste, I decided to build a tall, warm, round-shaped garden bed, which could even make the oligarchs jealous again. Enough said. Let's revisit my friend Constantine's project, which the oligarchs disliked. The thing is, the Penaplex Comfort, which he used to build the walls of the first floor, can withstand a vertical load of 18 tons per square meter. The walls use 100 millimeters thick Penaplex. Multiplying the wall thickness by the perimeter, I calculated just over 2 square meters of area, excluding partitions. So such walls made only of Penaplex can be loaded with a uniform load of at least 36 tons. And that's no joke at all. The second floor, built using frame technology, will weigh significantly less, even with an extreme snow load. And if you calculate the reinforcement provided by the reinforcing layers, it's probably even more viable. That's why I think my friend shouldn't have bothered with the corset, and he even got scolded by the neo-oligarchs for it too. I could be wrong in all my conclusions about strength, since I'm more of an intuitive person, not a certified structural analyst. I'd appreciate any helpful advice or constructive criticism. First and foremost, rely on common sense. This material has already proven itself excellent in small architectural forms. In larger structures, such as friends' houses, I believe it requires further research. Therefore, anyone who engages in such construction experiments should understand that this endeavor may involve certain risks. Dennis and Constantine fully grasp this. Penaplex is a safe choice for insulating facades, floors, roofs, attics, plinths, balconies, blind areas, and roofing, eliminating any risks. Insulating houses within the building envelope has long been its proven purpose. You can buy Penaplex at any construction store or order it online. I'll leave the link below the video. As I got distracted by the garden beds in March, the whirlwind of everyday life started spinning around me. Half a year flew by, and I only got back to redoing the roof in the middle of autumn. The blanks had a good rest and had long since gained their full strength. I painted them with the cheapest facade paint and acrylic varnish for plaster. After applying the layers of paint, I was too lazy to bring the blanks under the canopy. The paint didn't have time to polymerize, and the night rain soaked it. In the detailed video about this roof, I explained how I dried and repainted the panels in the damp autumn conditions. I'll put links to detailed videos about everything I've talked about here below this video. If you haven't seen them, check them out. There's only valuable information there. My friend Constantine really loves innovation, so he's always right here. Together, we set the pace for new roofing solutions. My friend Constantine helped out. Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome!
After my friend left, my wife and younger son assisted me. It was a good family warm-up. When you build it yourself, you don't end up spending a lot of money, but with a bad construction company, you could end up losing your shirt. In many post-Soviet regions, the construction market is still experiencing its Wild West days. Having sufficient funds for construction doesn't ensure that hiring a company will result in a completed house. Diving into the construction business without proper knowledge means a low chance of finding honest builders, about 10%. As the saying goes, better safe than sorry. The videos about the corrupt oligarchs fail to mention how my friend continued the construction, adding a second floor and even a third half floor, as well as putting a solid roof over the entire structure. From our experience, building something with others is often more complex and costly than doing it alone. Finally, we got around to working on the veranda in our main house. We ordered inexpensive plastic windows from a Gomo company that was considered very reliable. They have their own production profile, and they've been making windows since the 90s. They even know how to make them from valuable types of wood. Back in June, they gave us a nice estimate, took our money, but now it's almost New Year's, and we have neither windows nor our money. Sometimes there's no hardware, sometimes no glass, sometimes something else is missing. Complain wherever you want, we don't know anything. I could have glazed the veranda 5 times myself in these 7 months. And that's just a veranda. How could you build an entire house if every other contractor starts dragging things out like this?
The price, of course, varies, but overall it's the same kind of setup, you understand?
When I was in St. Petersburg again in December for the Best DIY Blogger 2024 award and got support from some serious guys, the news came that all Belarusian bloggers were cut off from channel monetization. We didn't expect that from YouTube. The ultra-cheap construction technology actually came from us. This leads to the suspicion that oligarchs might have had a hand in this as well. They have some serious connections. They might naively believe that a lack of money will stop us. If that's the case, they're wrong. It's precisely the lack of money that gives rise to new things in construction. Of course, it's upsetting that there's such a fight against affordable innovations. That's why I'll now upload all videos to vContacted Video 2. I'll link to the vContacted group below the video. Subscribe here and there. We must stay united. Now you can only support the Yasha Kosiak Songs channel financially through the Boosty service. I also upload new videos there, and they're completely free to access. Slowdown shouldn't bother us. The link is also under the video. Yasha Kosiak's songs initially led the public voting for the awards.
Initially, Yasha Kosiak's songs led, then Kirill Krasin, and gradually, that's what's good about the girls. They move forward steadily and carefully. Keep moving forward, until everyone else is.
And then everything changed a bit. In short, the young people overtook everyone. I'm not upset. Thanks a lot to everyone who voted for innovations. A private company let us down a bit, but the Belarusian state conglomerates don't mess around. Work is in full swing in the area. Thousands of tons of sand are being moved, and a serious dam is being built. Very soon, we will become invulnerable to the spring floods, which have been quite severe in recent years. And in the spring, we'll be able to go down to the basement for our canned goods, not in fishing boots, but in our house slippers. The roads in the surrounding areas have been repaired and many have been resurfaced. So hooray, comrades, give a big thumbs up, subscribe to the Yasha Kosiak Songs channel, to the vContacted group, and to Zen. All the links are below the video. Also, hit the bell, and then I'll definitely keep you informed. May peace prevail worldwide. Thanks.